Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan, and I've got a pretty special video for you guys here today. It's all about the brand new Masters of the Universe Origins line from Mattel that is just now starting to hit retail shelves. It's something that was announced a year ago, and I know a lot of us have been very excited for it. And it's finally here. The line is starting to hit retail stores right now. So I'm going to be taking a look at some of these figures from the very first wave. But joining me as special guests are members of the Masters of the Universe Origins team from Mattel. So help me welcome to the show, Josh Graham.
Hey, Dan.
And Reuben Martinez.
Hello, everybody.
Well, thank you guys very much for joining me. I really appreciate you being here. This is going to be a really fun, unique experience, I think, where we can kind of walk through this first wave. And like I said, I know we've seen these for the last year, but now they are finally in hand and fans are starting to get them. So I thought it'd be really cool to kind of sit down with you guys and talk about each of these figures in this first release. And maybe I can ask you guys some questions, or you can give me some insight on the line if that sounds good.
No one said anything about questions, Dan.
None whatsoever. No questions.
I kid.
No, that sounds great. Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Awesome. So let's go ahead and start with the line itself, Masters of the Universe Origins. It's sort of like a return to that retro 1980s version of the Masters of the Universe toy line, the one that most of us grew up with when we were kids. So can you guys kind of speak to what the inspiration was for this new direction for He-Man that's sort of like going back to the past, but introducing some new elements to it?
Yeah, sure. Essentially, the goal here was, we know how great and influential the original line was and how magical it was for everyone as kids. And so we wanted to think of what was a fun way to reintroduce that, modernize it a bit because, everyone's adults now, but make it play out the way you kind of imagined it as a kid, and where's the magic there and kind of what makes it special, and to make it for everyone, really.
Yeah, I would say that absolutely, but I think we always look at Origins as a way to almost make things better for everybody nowadays. So I think the team did a really amazing job of making them really articulated and move like the way current action figures move, whereas before they were somewhat limited. So Sure. It was being nostalgic, but being mindful of the future and the needs of people nowadays, which was really interesting to get those two things going together.
Very cool. And it definitely seems like you guys are using the original toy line as the inspiration for most of the designs here, because a lot of it really just kind of harkens back to the things from those old toys with a few different things. And we'll talk about that as we're going through. But I think it's important to start with the packaging here, because I think that's one of the coolest things about this toy line is this very nostalgic feeling packaging for me, with the red rocks bursting, the blue starry sky with that original logo on there. And it's interesting, like the line's called Origins, but I've noticed it doesn't say Origins on the box. Was that just because you were trying to capture that vintage feel all the way through?
Yeah, exactly. I think, working with our packaging team, specifically Roy Juarez, and then working with Axel Jimenez, a great artist, I'm sure everyone knows. Both of them really want to embody the classic look so that when you see it on shelf, it was kind of like when you saw it on shelf the first time. And so you get those little bursts and those call outs, and we know how important that packaging art can be. It really feels like art more so than just kind of, a normal toy packaging execution. And so we want to pay tribute to that and kind of bring it back to life.
I think, too, the fact that so much about the Masters original vintage line was so groundbreaking that even today it still stands out on shelf. So why mess with something that really works? And also, too, I think by saying it was Origins and really playing up the nostalgia of the brand, there was really only one direction for us to go with this and really pay homage to every aspect of the product and the packaging as we could.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, you guys were just talking about the box art. So I absolutely have to point out the gorgeous artwork on the back of the packaging is one of my favorite parts of this. And on some of the bigger boxes too, which we'll definitely see, because that's the thing, like you just mentioned, that's what I remember about those original toys when I was a kid. is the boxes told a story. We got to look at this beautiful artwork, and it got us even more excited about these characters. And I just love that you guys are including this amazing artwork on these boxes.
Yeah, glad to hear it.
All right, so we're gonna jump in here. I want to start. We're gonna go figure by figure, and there's no better place to start than with the most powerful man in the universe, He-Man. There he is, right there, and I love it too. So you guys talked about how you kind of went back to that original style, but you added more articulation. So they are in the 5.5-inch scale. It's cool too because they still kind of have those squat poses that the original ones were known for, even though they've got knee bends now, which is really neat. You can kind of see how we can bend the knees and we can swivel at the boots, and we got the ankles that move up and down. So a great range of motion on here, but they still look like the old figures, and they feel like a very retro feeling toy. Like they feel solid, and they feel like something that kids could bash around and play with. And I think that is really cool about these right here. So with He-Man, it's really interesting. Like, he's our main character, and you got to get He-Man right. And He-Man does have kind of a new look with his head. He's got the longer blonde hair rather than sort of that Dutch boy haircut of the vintage figure. Can you guys kind of speak a little bit to the design of He-Man's new head sculpt?
Well, hair grows. Hairstyles change. No, I mean, honestly, we're looking at this figure as we are with a lot of the other characters in the line, where there's subtle differences from what you may have known as a kid. I think part of it was we just kind of wanted to just maybe expand a little bit on some of the visuals. I think that the classic stuff is obviously very near and dear to many people's hearts, and that's not to say that we won't ever look at some of those retro heads again. But for now, we're looking at, just like I said, this is Origins, and we're looking to update a little, but not to the point where it's so drastic, hopefully, that people are like, this isn't my He-Man. This is just a longer, more attractive looking He-Man with a more current hairstyle.
Very cool. So I love to, like, the accessories are basically the way we remember him from the original. He's got the battle axe and the shield, but one of the things you guys brought back for this figure is the half power sword. It's designed a little bit different, but still very recognizable. But you got that half sword, which, of course, the original story in the original toy line was that He-Man and Skeletor each had two halves of the power sword, and when combined together, well, now you've got the key to Castle Grayskull. So it was kind of fun to see that return. Can you kind of speak on the decision to go that route? Was it just specifically based on that original line? And also why, if you ever thought about also including like a full power sword as well as just a half one?
So I think yes, absolutely. I think we're using the MOTU vintage line from the 80s as our North Star from a expectation. And I feel that if we start off there and expand on it, we could only get better. So I think some of those things that are just classic and just intrinsic to the brand were those two power swords coming together.
Sure.
Even though in the content, it kind of didn't really reinforce that at all, the product did for us. And it was something that we really wanted to make sure we were kind of like, we're paying attention and we're not just forgetting about this stuff. We're really trying to keep as much of those little things. And they were like, they're things that we all know. So as much of that as we could continue on with, we want to. But yes, to the power sword, I think there is possibly a place for a complete power sword.
Awesome. Okay, so that's exciting for me because the power sword, the half sword idea is very cool, but I did feel myself wanting kind of like a full power sword with this figure. Prince Adam's kind of got a version of it, so that's definitely some exciting news. But I do love this. You can see how the swords kind of stick together. So with Skeletor and He-Man, once you get both those figures, you get both halves, the purple and the silver. So now we just need a Castle Grayskull, I guess, to open this up, right?
Or you can play with your old one.
Oh, okay, there we go. We can play with the original one. Well, let's go ahead and bring us over to our bad guy here. One of my all-time favorite villain, Skeletor. I love his classic look. You know, he's got that blue skin. He's got the purple accessories. I love the choice with the head on this one. He's got that open mouth, and it almost makes him like, I don't know, you can almost see this figure doing them, yeah, you know, like you've got him almost like he's yelling. It's kind of funny looking, but like in a good way. So that's something that's a little different than the vintage line. And you guys talked about how you looked at the vintage and used that as your North Star, but you kind of changed things up a little bit. So I don't know, open mouth Skeletor. What say you, Reuben?
I personally like it. Now, I don't speak for all, but I'm sure that there's people that may not. But I think that, I think what we wanted to do, ultimately we wanted to do was give you a reason to buy these figures again. And I'm sure just with Articulation alone, a lot of us may have bought these figures again. But I think the fact that we're trying to just do things that are still just, it's very much in line with what these figures look like. And like you said, it's almost like he's cackling and you could hear him cackle, you know? And it would have been, yes, exactly. It would have been just to do the old sculpt, but it's those little things that we feel and hope are going to really resonate with people. And, you know, we just hope it's a good thing, and we think it looks great.
Yeah, we know so many of the fans still have the original figures from the 80s. And so, you know, we had the choice of just completely, you know, redoing things or keeping extremely similar to what originally came out. And, you know, we wanted to find kind of that middle space that, like Reuben said, it's different enough to make it interesting and fun and give you another reason to buy it again when, you know, you might already have a Skeletor.
Very cool. Awesome. All right, so this is something that, while we've got He-Man and Skeletor here, I feel like is important to talk about, because this isn't something that's really highlighted on the packaging, but it's something we've talked about a lot with these figures. We've mentioned the articulation, but we haven't really shown much that these figures are like totally modular, right? You can like,
yeah, they are.
You can like pull the parts like right at where all the joints meet up. You can pull the boots off, and I mean, really, that means that we can kind of like has some fun mixing and matching parts here. Like you can put some of the figures together. So that's a really interesting sort of like bonus feature with these. And I'd kind of be interested to hear where that came about.
I'll say from my perspective, when we were thinking about these, you know, if I think about the original line, so much of what made it fun and funny and silly and awesome is you had these such crazy and random characters, and they're almost like amalgamations of people and creatures and machinery and magic and all this stuff. And, you know, there's something there for me about being able to create your own versions. And so when we had the option of, you know, do we make these modular? Do we make them really, you know, tight? You know, it was almost for me a no-brainer of like, no, you should be able to create characters and swap arms and heads and stuff like that. And there's an entire legacy behind this line. And if you want to take a different head and put it on a body or mix up characters, you should be able to. And that's what makes it fun.
I think also too, it's also very true, Josh, but I think on top of that, we know that the collector fan base for MOTU really does like customizing and augmenting their product. So this is just an easier way for them to do that. And I think the really great thing about it is, even though these products can be broken down into individual pieces, the play and display quality is still there when connected. They don't become flimsy. They do not become like loose by any means. They're still very nice and substantial, but it was just one of those little things that the design team wanted to add to keep in mind who we're making this product for and being mindful of the needs of our consumer. So the team really wanted to maintain that as a little nice added feature, a little plus for the fans.
Yeah, and especially if your kids happen to get their hands on them and tear them apart, then they're easy to put back together again. So
there you go. You're totally right too about the quality of it. Like I've been really impressed with the way I've been able to mix and match those parts, and they still feel very stable. They don't feel like they're loose and flimsy, and it's a lot of fun to mix and match parts. And Speaking to what Reuben kind of said about the fans liking to customize, I've already seen so many pictures across social media of people just mixing and matching those parts and making just random weirdos. And I think that's awesome. You know, it's so much fun to do.
Well, isn't that what MOTU is?
Far. Yes, right?
Random weirdos.
Fun random weirdos, yes. And not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but you know, it kind of always makes you think about possibilities for the future. You know, Reuben kind of talked about Masters fans like to customize their figures to almost like make the ideal version of the character in action figure form. So I don't know, who knows what we might see with some different parts down the line with different figures that we can swap around. I think it's a really fun feature.
Well, thank you.
All right, we are going to move along and we're going to take a look at some of these other figures here. And we're going to jump on over to looking at the heroic warrior goddess known as Teela, right there in the first wave. I love it. We got Teela, we got Evelyn right out the gate. Again, amazing packaging, amazing artwork on the back. I love that she's attacking Merman. So hopefully that means Merman's on his way. I'm going to do that a lot, just so you guys know.
No problem.
So here we go.
Marketing over here, just sweating.
Yeah, making you guys sweat a little bit. So we got Teela here in her, very retro style. I love that we've got the snake armor back. That was sort of a mainstay on the original figure. That didn't really make it to a lot of the media for Masters. And of course her snake staff Ka there, which is very cool. I like to, you guys kind of redesigned some of the accessories a little bit in the way that the figures hold them. Like the original Teela clipped on her wrist, but now she's got a handle that fits over the hand pretty nicely, actually, so she can get a grip on it and hold the shield over her hand. Works out pretty well. And much like on the original figure, you can remove the snake armor, which I'm going to pop off right there. And that way you've got a couple different ways that you can display Teela if you want to. We can see her red hair in all its glory right there. But just really, really fun figure. These, of course, are scaled very similar to the vintage figures. So, not quite as big and beefy as the boys, of course. But still has the same mixing and matching capabilities that the female figures can share with the same kind of swappable parts there, I've noticed. So you can still pull the boots off and the arms off and stuff like that. But I don't know. She's gorgeous. I think she looks awesome, guys.
A few different iterations, I know, but we're pretty happy she landed, and I think Reuben did a really great job with her.
The design team, Sam Pack and everybody, and myself included, love this figure. Like I said, a lot of love goes into these figures.
It's very cool. And like Josh kind of pointed out, it is sort of an amalgamation of different Teela looks, but that only makes sense because Teela's actually had a few different iterations over the years and it changes up a little bit, but I really like that. I mean, I really like the head sculpt actually outside of the snake armor that she wears, the way that she's got her hair bunned up and everything. It's a very cool looking figure. I think she's really pretty. And then of course, I just showed Evelyn as well with the bright yellow colors, just like the vintage figure. She looks awesome. She's got that same kind of baby blue wand there. Just really cool. It does look like you're kind of seeing the same thing in the vintage line where some of the parts are kind of reused and just like different colors, right? We got that same thing going on with Teela and Evelyn here. But that's one of those things too, where just like on the vintage toy line, correct?
Absolutely. So we're sharing tooling. Yes, absolutely.
This is going to be fun. This is going to be like an unboxing because I'm going to open up Man at Arms right here. So you guys get to experience what it's like to open up a brand new figure. But again, we got to show off the amazing artwork on the back. Absolutely love it. And I don't know, when you guys open toys, it might be different for you since you're on the process of making them, but how do you guys open your figures? Do you just tear the box open? Do you
tear them open?
Tear them open?
With just anger and joy because I don't normally open my stuff. So it's like the only chance I'm ever going to get. And by the way, Dan, I don't have any of these toys.
What?
I know. I'm a little jealous.
I don't have these
toys when we're at home. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I use an X-Acto knife just to get right in there.
Totally get it. And then there's always the people that keep the card backs, which I would totally understand for a line like this with that beautiful artwork. But all right, here we go. Ready? that how you do it right there, Reuben?
So satisfying.
So satisfying. All right, so let's get Man-at-Arms out of the box. So the one thing that stands out on this guy immediately right in the packaging, Man-at-Arms has a mustache, guys.
He
has
sure
a mustache.
does.
Yeah, so original figure did not have a mustache, but of course, once the cartoon hit, the mustache sort of became a staple for the character. So did you guys just decide to do that because that's sort of like what most people think of when they think of Man-at-Arms?
I am.
Yes. Go ahead.
I said I am 100% pro mustache. I think
Yeah.
I want my Man-at-Arms well equipped with facial hair.
Yeah, the stash. I think with a lot of the sculpts, you see some minor modifications. I think with Man-at-Arms, it was like we got to give him the stash.
Excellent. So Man-at-Arms has also got all these little extra armor bits, and it's cool because they all come packaged separate within the packaging there. So you actually have to kind of add on like all this little shoulder armor and everything, and it's very similar to the original figures. It's a little softer than the original ones, but they got the same little straps that you just kind of put through the loop here. See if we can get in. I'm under pressure because we're recording this live. So there we go.
If anything, Reuben's under pressure.
Yeah. And we're gonna put his leg strap on there, and then he's got his mace as well. I love the colors on this guy. He's just so bright and colorful. And oh man, there's a great little detail. The hair on the back of the helmet is painted. That's pretty awesome. And I'm saying that as a guy who knows the vintage figures and knows that the sculpt is there, but it was usually not painted. And so that's kind of fun to see.
That's what we call a cost reduction back in the old days.
Yeah. Very cool. So there we go. Duncan in all his glory, the Man-at-Arms. Of course, we do have the extra armor pieces as well that you can put on there. But, all the armor, it's built very similar to the vintage figures. So anybody that knows the original toy line, you know what you got with the armor. And that, of course, could also add to the interchangeability with all these figures.
Yeah, and we separated the shoulder arm piece because of the articulation.
Aha. Yeah.
Whereas traditionally, it was one piece.
That's a good point. So there's what he's talking about right there. So that way we can still bend the elbow and have the armor still attached. Let me put this on real quick. Maybe. There we go. And that way we got the armor on, but you can still swivel the elbow. You can still bend the elbow there, and the armor is still actually on the arm. That's a really good point. Very cool, Reuben.
Yeah. And as we see across this whole line, articulation was really important to us, and so that the characters can move the way you want them to move and pose out the way you want them to pose. And so, we do those little details here and there whenever possible to make that happen.
Very cool. All right, we're going to move on to the last single release for this line, the 6th figure, ripping him open right here. We got Beastman, which is one of my favorite villains. He's sort of like he's like Skeletor's number one guy, right? That's who you would look at as being like Skeletor. Well, I mean,
don't tell Trapjaw.
Don't tell Trapjaw. Don't tell Evil Lynn. But Beastman, he was one of the original 8 figures. He's very, very classic. And again, he really, really captures that original action figure feel with that head sculpt there, the blue paint under the eyes and above the mouth. It's very cool looking. He even kind of has like the same sprayed blue right there on the armor. That's really cool. Is that just again another? You did that because of the vintage figure?
Yeah. So the designer on this Sam Pack really, we need to make sure where we're coming from to know where we're going. So we look to make sure that as much of the details from the original product are there, so that we're not disappointing. We want to make sure that we remember the good things, and then we add on those.
Very cool. All right, I'm trying to open this accessory bag here, and we're going to get his whip out. There we go. All right,
between Evil Lynn and Man-at-Arms and Beastman, I think one of my favorite parts of being on this line is how colorful and fun and crazy it is. And you really see it come to life with these characters that you don't see in other action figure brands. And, you know,
I mean, that's one of the things that always made the original Masters so appealing. And I think that's probably why so many kids liked it so much. It's filled with just so many wild character designs. And when you get them all together, you just see all those colors. And it's definitely one of those things that has always been the high point for me, why it's appealed to me so much.
Yeah.
All right. So Beastman, you know, you got his shoulder armor is separate, very similar to Man-at-Arms. So you got to strap it on his arms there. All right, I'm going to get super nerdy with you guys here. The whip. This is what I find really fun about the whip. So anybody that collected the original line probably knows at this point that Beastman's whip was reused from the Big Jim toy line, and that's why it was always a little bit too big for his hand. I love that you guys just still did that again. Like he just holds on to the little handguard piece again.
You know, you turn that thing upside down and it's a Big Jim coffee mug and he's drinking in the morning.
There you go. Yeah. Early morning at Snake Mountain right there. Mm-hmm. That's good stuff. Yeah, so it's very similar. You can see it's like got a real rope there. Man, it literally just feels a lot like the original figure, but he's got all that added articulation and everything. And again, it feels nice and solid, nice bright colors, and just a really fun figure, especially for anybody that appreciated those original toys. So what do you guys think as far as like kids go? Do you think that kids today will look at these and they'll love them, that they'll play with them and fall in love with them the same way we did when we were kids?
I mean, you know, one can only hope. You know, I think the goal with the line in my mind is twofold. You know, as Reuben kind of plainly stated, we want to first and foremost make it for, you know, the collectors who are fans of the original line, and everything that you loved about it, we want to bring back and make it accessible and make it fun. But I think the part two of this is remembering that in the world of action figure collectibles, you know, it's still a toy and it should be fun and treated like a toy, and it should be fun for kids. And so, you know, like we said, those bright colors and that fun packaging art, and the fact that you can swap out all of the pieces and stuff, make it fun for kids. And so, you know, of course, I want everyone to discover it. You know, but I think there's a lot of magic there that's kind of the connection between the old fans and the new. And this toy line does a great job of bridging that.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well said. Yes, I agree completely.
So I talked about the artwork on the packaging, kind of telling stories when we were kids. But the other thing that told us the stories were the mini comics. And that's something else that is returned with this line. All 6 figures in Wave 1 come with this same brand new mini comic, which has got a brand new story, new artwork. And I think it's really cool to see the mini comics back. I know that's something that people were clamoring for even when Classics was out, that collector line. Everybody wanted new mini comics. So is this something you guys are planning to continue with future waves too? Is that something you can speak about?
Yes, we can. Yes, this will continue with future waves. You know, kind of for my part, going back to really what we just talked about, is the mini comics are a great way to kind of deepen the story of the characters and build on what we already know. So yes, the line is called Origins. Yes, it's paying tribute to the stuff that came in the 80s. But the comics are a way of introducing new storylines, but with kind of fan favorite characters. So if you had the toys back in the day and you watch the show and all that stuff, then you read these and it kind of makes you remember. But if you're a kid and you're brand new to the line, then you can read these and you say, oh yeah, so Beastman wants to be Skeletor's right-hand man, but Evil Lynn's in the way, and what's the dynamic there and stuff like that. And so, you know, for us, it's actually almost as important as the figures themselves are the stories that we're, you know, providing with them. So yes, definitely look for mini comics to continue with new stuff coming out every wave. Yeah.
Very cool. That's exciting. That's exciting. All right. We got 2 more pieces in this first wave that we got to look at. And I found this very exciting when it was first announced, because you guys aren't just launching with 6 basic action figures. You guys are also launching with some beasts and some vehicles, which are 2 of the things that made the original Masters of the Universe line so great. And speaking of the amazing packaging, this Battle Cat is one of my favorite packages in this line because it's totally brings me back to buying that original Battle Cat as a kid. Even the new artwork on the top is an homage to the original, and the artwork on the back is absolutely gorgeous. So I mean, this is something I really love. I think you guys did a great job with this. So definitely wanted to give you kudos for that.
Thank you. And thank you to Roy Juarez and Axel Jimenez for working on it and creating it and bringing Battle Cat to life in such a great way. So
I think it's interesting, though, if you think about it, Dan, is that everybody that's working on this product grew up on the product.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, what do you expect? You know what I mean? Like, everybody's going to try to do the best they possibly can. So I think the packaging team also just brought their A game as well in terms of just that nostalgia. So every aspect of the product line is just so much fun to work on that we're just like, why wouldn't we want to do the best thing we possibly could?
Love it. That is so cool. Yeah, we all grew up and so the cool toys, right? That's amazing. That's amazing. All right, so here's our boy Cringer or Battle Cat outside of that box there. I noticed right away that the eyes on the helmet are painted, which is very, very cool. And also, you know, we can remove all that armor just like on the original. But what's new to this Battle Cat that wasn't on the original one from the 80s is the fact that you can move them. You know, we were talking about reused stuff from Big Jim earlier, but the original one was a static figure. He couldn't move. So now we've got an opening and closing mouth. You know, you can really move that head all the way around. You got the neck joint that moves. The legs move forwards and backwards. It's really, really nice. I am going to ask about one articulation point that I feel like might be missing. His ankles, man. We can't move his feet.
Listen, we went from no articulation to what you got in your hand.
I was thinking the same thing.
What more do you want?
Look, I've got to be a nitpicky fan sometimes, guys. Come on.
We get it. Yeah. I'll say, yeah, we wanted to of course articulate Battle Cat, knowing he was a very cool statue before.
Sure.
Into a figure. But we
All right, I'll stop throwing you guys in the hot seat there. All right, so the size is very cool. He actually feels very big even compared to the original one, but you know, you can perfectly fit He-Man right there on the saddle on his back. It's just a fun feeling toy. It really is. It feels good. All the articulation's really fun on there, and it's an awesome addition to the line. You can't have He-Man without Battle Cat, right?
Yeah, I mean, what boy wouldn't want a giant green tiger to go into battle with? So.
Excellent. All right, so the last thing we're going to take a look at here, one of the vehicles, one of the classic vehicles from the original line, which is the Skysled, which you guys have packaged here with Prince Adam. So we're getting Prince Adam right out the gate, which is very, very cool. Again, amazing packaging, amazing box art on both the front and the back. Really kind of reminds you of those original kind of like gift sets that had the figures and the vehicles and stuff in them. So that is really, really fun to see. Of course, the Skysled in the original line was part of a bigger vehicle called the Battle Ram, but the Skysled was kind of one of those common vehicles, especially in the cartoon series. So, you know, again, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but if we thought about bigger vehicles, maybe seeing the full Battle Ram at some point?
You know, I'm never going to rule out a Battle Ram.
Of course.
We'll have to see what continues further down the line, but I wouldn't rule anything out now.
Cool. All right. So the Skysled, one of the things you guys did that's really cool about this, since this is a flying vehicle, is you included this flight stand. So you can remove the Battle Ram from the flight stand if you want. It's very easy to kind of clip it in place, and it's articulated, which is awesome. You kind of got like this almost sandy dirt path or something underneath it, but I just thought that was awesome because you can pose the figures in flight up in the air, which is very cool. And you really added all kinds of fun little extras. Like we've got the blast effect, which is definitely something that we've never really seen from the original line. So you can make it look like the cannon's firing. And of course, specifically in the original animated series, the bad guys use these too, but theirs looked a little bit different. And you guys thought ahead and you included the interchangeable head, so we can change it from this little kind of griffin head to the serpent head. And you can even change the artwork on the side panels, which is amazing. You got that kind of classic artwork there, and you can easily swap that out with the bad guy artwork. And I just think that is so cool. And I know that this is one of those things, Reuben, where you're just going to say, why wouldn't we do that? That's awesome. But maybe you can kind of tell us when you guys decided to do that.
So I think with all of Origins, whenever humanly possible, we try to add, because we all, like, I think for us and Sam Pack, who's an amazing designer on this product line, who worked on all of the stuff you're seeing, it's just like, how can we push it further as much as we can? So it just felt like for this vehicle, we should offer it, because if we don't, we're going to hear about it. And we almost kind of want to almost answer the questions before we get the questions. Like, when are you going to do the bad guy Skysled? Well, guess now. So I think over the past, how many years we've been working on MOTU, we're always very cognitive of people's questions and comments. And whenever possible, we try very hard to listen and implement. And I think Origins in general is a way for us to listen and make sure that we're doing the right thing. So with the Skysled, it's all about displaying, showing it off, and giving you the ability to do that with all of your Origin product with a really cool vehicle. Very cool.
Very cool. And it is a super fun vehicle. All of those added features just really kind of blew me away. I thought that was super fun. It makes it almost like an army building vehicle too, for anybody that wants to get a couple of those and have bad guy ones and good guy ones. I think that's a lot of fun. And then of course, Prince Adam is the bonus figure that comes with it, with his great pink vest, a lot more brightly colored than on the original toy. He almost does have more of that cartoon look to him, which I noticed with those colors there. But again, it's very similar to the original toy where he's basically He-Man, but, wearing a vest and different colors. But it's still cool to get He-Man's alter ego right there at the beginning of the line. I think that's a fun pack in. And that is all of Series 1, right, guys? That's all the figures that are out right now?
Yeah, we do have the minis out as well, and we got some more stuff coming this fall. So I think everyone's kind of aware of those, but we might have a couple of things for spring hiding that we'd love to share with you, Dan, if you got a minute.
Oh, you got some new stuff to show me? Yeah, I'm all in. Let's do it.
I know your time is valuable, so I understand. But as you know, we do have stuff rolling out. Thank you again for taking the time to walk through it and speak with us today. That's awesome. As you know, we will be at PowerCon this coming weekend. And as you know, you're also going to be at PowerCon this weekend. So looking forward to speaking with you again.
Yes.
We wanted to give you a couple sneak peeks of stuff that's coming through for spring. Like I said, the minis are out right now. They are really cool. But do you know what's even cooler? Mini vehicles.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to have mini fig and vehicle combos hitting spring. You're going to see He-Man coming alongside the Road Ripper, Skeletor coming alongside the Roton. These things, they move, they roll around. I mean, I'll let Reuben tell you a little bit more about them.
Yeah, so these are just really fun versions of classic vehicles from MOTU. We wanted to make sure that there was some functionality, really simple features, because we want to kind of see if we can build out the world of the minis as well. So this is just a nice little taste of things that we're doing. We think that there's a lot of fun here, and we think that it's a really fun item to own. A figure in a vehicle, you can never go wrong. So Roton, Road Ripper, He-Man, Skeletor, peanut butter jelly, it's all good.
That is very cool. Those look awesome. And the Roton's like one of my favorite villain vehicles from the original line. These look so fun, guys.
Yeah, they roll around, they move, they're going to come in a blister. And so, yeah, you'll see them on shelf this spring. Something else is coming.
Oh, there he is.
So we can't have Battle Cat coming out for He-Man and nothing for Skeletor, my homeboy. So we've got Panther coming out. He also has his removable armor, also articulated. Yeah, we're really excited for him.
Very cool. Very cool. Is he going to be flocked, Reuben?
No.
Articulation?
Yes.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, this one comes standard, just like Battle Cat. But this whole line is going to be in mass, as we mentioned. But just so you know, we introduced a few things, talked about the minis. We went through the core assortment today, Battle Cat, the Skysled. We also have a mini multi-pack coming out later.
Ooh.
So this comes their own, ships in its own castle, so to speak. So it's 4 figures. They include an exclusive figure with each multi-pack, and it's got great packaging, as you can kind of see there. So great opportunity to display. But that's just for fall. So for spring, we've got 9 more items to show in addition to what we just talked about today. The line is going wide, and we are going to bring the heat with a lot of new stuff, and we're really excited to show it off at PowerCon. So we'll be introducing the spring line in our panel at PowerCon this Sunday, starting at 4:30. Go to thepowercon.com, and you can find out more. And I know, Dan, you're going to be there with us, right?
I will, yes. I will be moderating that panel, and I am now extra excited to see what you guys are going to be revealing.
And please don't ask to see anything before the show.
I'll do my best. Excellent. Wow. So there's some really exciting stuff happening with this line. Like, this is hitting retail right now, but it sounds like this is only the beginning for Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, that's the plan. We want to keep this going a long time. We know the fans are excited. There's so much to introduce, and it's hard for us not to get everything out the door immediately. But we will get it out, and you will find it on shelf everywhere around the world, and with more to come in spring too.
Excellent, excellent. So just so everybody knows, they are now starting to hit retail shelves at Walmart here in the US, correct? They're Walmart exclusive, but I believe in 2021, we will also see these at other retail locations.
That's correct. They're going to be everywhere, open for all retailers. If they want to take them, we've got them starting in 2021.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, Josh and Reuben, thank you guys so much for taking the time to just walk through these figures with me and answer some of my hard questions. But it was really great kind of getting your insight on some of the design processes with the Origins line and kind of just getting inside the mind of Mattel to see what we're doing with this brand new toy line. I think it's really exciting. I think a lot of fans are really happy to see He-Man back on retail shelves, and it sounds like there's going to be a lot of exciting things still to come. So thank you guys very much.
You got it. Thanks, Dan.
You're welcome. Thank you.